We're in volume 6, and now we found out who is in the yellow dress on my book. It's Esther, the star. So that's why each one of our books has this. And this is the Bible story, volume 6, my nice set of blue books. And we are at part 3, story 3, Plot in the Palace. Plots in the Palace. Yeah, and then now I'm thinking about the VeggieTale one. I've seen all of them. I've seen the VeggieTale ones, the Night with the King, and then one from TNT. I've seen many of them about Esther. They love this because it's basically Cinderella. Okay. Part 3, story 3, Plot in the Palace. No king was very safe on his throne in those days. Anyways, there was somebody or another plotting to take his life. Always, there was somebody or another plotting to take his life. The famous Xerxes was no exception. So after Esther became queen, two of his chamberlains, Bigthan and Kirsch, as it says, Bigthan, and Kirsch, Teresh, became so angry at something he had done that they made up their minds to kill him. Unfortunately for him, they talked about their plans to others who whispered it to their friends, and so on, until finally the story reached Mordecai. He told Esther, and Esther told the king, and the two plotters were arrested and put to death. But in all the excitement, Mordecai was forgotten. The king didn't even thank him for his help. About this time, Xerxes chose as his prime minister a man named Haman, the Agagite, 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 believed to have been a descendant of the believed to have been a descendant of Agag, king of Amalek, whom the prophet Samuel slew. It was not by choice. He may have been strong, but he was also proud, cruel, and ruthless. Mordecai didn't like him and could not bring himself to bow to him as the law required. When Haman came riding through the servants' quarters near the palace gate, everybody paid him deep respect. Everybody, that is, except Mordecai. He just looked the other way. Day after day, this went on, and soon all the king's servants were talking about it. "You'll get in trouble," some of them said to Mordecai. "It's the king's order that everybody bow to Haman. You'd better do it." "No, said Mordecai. "I can't. I couldn't. Not to him." And he didn't. Whereupon Haman became terribly angry. The sight of one man standing erect when all the rest were bowing to him was more than he could endure. So Mordecai got very, very upset. And like it said he just looked the other way because he was supposed to be of a descendant of somebody that were in that weren't supposed to be there. And this is how he became, is because of the sin of a king years and years and years ago. Okay, let's go here. About this time, he learned that Mordecai was a Jew, and this gave him an idea. He would take his revenge not only on Mordecai, but on all Jews. He would wipe them off the face of the earth. To make quite sure that his plot would succeed, he went to the priest of his heathen god and had them to cast lots to find the best time to purge the Jews from the Persian Empire. The lot fell upon the 13th day of the 12th month. Yeah, I think they have Purim in April. I'm not sure. I'm not too good on this. But let me get back to the story. Then he went to King Xerxes and outlined his plans, making out, of course, that he had thought of it in the best interest of the king and country. There are certain people scattered abroad and dispersed among the people in all the provinces of thy kingdom, he said, and their laws are diverse from all people. Neither kept they the king's law. Therefore it is not for the king's profit to suffer them. If it please the king, let it be written that they may be destroyed. Lest the king object that so large an undertaking might cost too much money, he offered to pay all the expenses himself. Oh, so Mordecai was going to pay for everything. I will pay 10,000 talents of silver into the hands of those that have charge of the business, he said. So great was the king's confidence in Haman that he told him to do as he pleased. Here, take my ring, he said. Write your own decree and sign it in my hand. Haman was delighted. Things were going better than he had dared to hope. He chuckled when he thought of what he would do to Mordecai in just a little while from now. Calling the king's scribes, he had them prepare the decree, in which was then sent to all the governors of the 127 provinces, in, in order in order them to destroy, to kill, and to cause to perish all Jews, both young and old, little children and women, in one day, even upon the 13th day of the 12th month. Then we've got to pause and take the spoil of them for a prey, and take everything from the get. It was a terrible thing to do. It meant the massacre of the entire Jewish race, and it was worse than anything Pharaoh had tried to do in Egypt. But what did Haman care? When the decree had been read in Shushan, he and the king sat down to drink. But they had forgotten something. They had failed to reckon with the God of Israel, who has a special care for his people. They had not also overlooked the fact that he had a bright star shining in the palace at that very moment. And then, of course, Haman getting the king's key, and then up at the top it has Esther and a star. But here's the bottom of Haman getting the king's ring, and then up at the top, Esther and a star, because she's very important in the story. And that was the end of part 3, story 3. So we're going to stop, and we're going to basically stop, and then we'll see you in a bit.